those, it's a scattered audience here on our platform. So it's almost 60% done, and then it should be live anytime on the. So how is things like how is business in COVID world in UK, and how things are happening and going on?
I think we're locking back down again, but to be honest, I haven't been out since it started in March. So,
Yeah,
the shopping gets delivered.
yeah,
That's it, as far as
yeah,
I'm concerned.
yeah. I see a lot of session happening from your side. Even the MS Ignite was virtual this year, right? So it's all
Oh,
from
yeah.
home. It's all from home and everything. Yeah, things have
Yeah.
changed a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
wouldn't be in the US right now.
yeah, so we are live. So I think we should not delay further, and we can start now. So I'm just putting your picture a little smaller, making it a little smaller, putting it here, and so let's. Okay, so I will just I will do the recording so that we can later upload it on our platform. So that many people can watch whoever who do not get a chance to join now. So just close here. So welcome everybody, and yeah, just give us a moment. Just trying to, yeah. So welcome everybody, and let's start with the session with Sharon Sumner. So we have come up with a very smart and smaller code, which is like earlier it was a lot of code, and further it was low code, and now for many it's no code. So the things are changing so fast that even when we started our business, we had to start when we had like we had nothing as our portal, but still we were able to do everything because of the goodness of Office 365, Google Sheet, and a lot of platform that has come up handy in these days to handle most of our problems now. And now in the background our portal was being built with the time, and then now you see that there's a more and more enablement and a feature in the background on multi-cloud for you platform. And this has happened because of this theory, which is like the code and the system has evolved in a way that people don't need everything to be built on to start with, and they can still get a value to the business or whatever they are doing. And that's where Sharon is expert. She's a Microsoft Business Application MVP, and obviously we would hear more from her directly what she is. Uh, what multi-cloud for you is like, what do we stand for? So our, like, we are like to collect experience for the best brain of the world in their respective areas and enable all technology practitioners and leaders. Almost we have given 1500 certificates to the people in just past 3-4 months, and these certificates has been provided across almost, we have touched almost all the country, almost 80-90 country we have touched. Obviously the volume is low. If we talk in terms of 1500 certificates plus maybe 1500-1600 would be there on the number basis, but obviously people across different countries, people technologists from different platform has joined us, connect with us, a speaker and an expert from multinational companies and MVPs and researchers have joined us and came here and talked on specific topic which is very much needed in this changing world. So we maintain the relevance and vitality of the tech community. We believe that people with passion can change the world in big and small ways. Sharon is a great example. I keep on getting passionate when I see her sessions and things coming up, and she's regularly doing something great. Our every tech session tries to improve your knowledge in the given area by at least 1%, reciprocate what we have learned in the industry, and lower entry barrier for the new entrant in our core value is our core value. We provide new technical insight to seasoned technologists to remain relevant in their profession. So whatever the sessions or the event that we do, most of them are interview ready and job ready, because what we believe that unless and until you do not apply it directly in your job, you do not apply it directly into a business, is useless. Foster a professional, competent, considerate, honest, and passionate community of engineers and data scientists. So we do session on multi-cloud strategy, we do session on data science and AI, we do session on blockchain, we do session on extreme engineering, and there are different flavors of people and experts who come and join us and connect with us. So today's session is obviously, it's little hand-on with Sharon Sumner. It's more around build using SharePoint, Power Automate, Teams, and Streams. But as you go and watch her past session, even on our platform, you'll see everything is connected to the business value which she talks about. And the biggest reason for this is she herself is a CEO, and she's a woman entrepreneur in tech, and she loves talking about things which actually brings value to your business, which actually brings value to what you do on your platform. So before we start, because we have already upgraded our platform a little more, so to get the best benefit out of platform, I will give you a small demo of around 3 minutes, and then I will give the mic to Sharon. So just give me a moment, and let me give a demo to you guys, and then we start with Sharon. I'll just go open the Chrome. So now to watch any of the specific session, you don't have to do much. Just wait. Just have to go to cancel fifthir.com. So here we do multiple community events. Here we do multiple sessions, and we invite all type of speakers, trainers, who are actually we choose speaker and trainer only if they have the industry experience. They are a startup. They are either working in a solo, or they have done some different live experience with their work or in the community. So most of the sessions of the courses that are there are available here. You can search courses by the speaker, like courses by Sharon if you search, or if you go on the top, and we are continuously upgrading it: cloud computing, data science analytics, data and ops, design, second government, governance, dev and ops, AI and robotics. You will able to find all type of courses that we do. Obviously there are paid courses because that also need to support our platform, but we try to make keep as much as free courses and sessions which are available, because whenever we interact with the community, people or startups, totally depends upon how they want. And sorry, uh, uh, how can you go on mute? I think someone who is not there on mute. Sorry, man. Uh, I would suggest the person to go on mute. Kevin, is Kevin or someone else? Okay, Vicky, if you can go on mute. Okay. Okay. Tony is on mute now. So and there are different type of courses that keep on updating and adding from different speaker and trainer and people. And whenever if the speaker wants it free, it's completely free. We never charge anything for that. You will be able to find out. There are multiple forums and group, and we are continuously adding forums and group from our partner speakers and trainers here. There are free events. There's a calendar here which automatically connects all our different platform. There's a contact us and other support things which is there. You can connect in there. Then you have popular and most valued. We keep on updating this. There are few tokens from people. You can see how the people have shared their certificate and connected on the LinkedIn, and what they talk about us on LinkedIn. So you can talk. We can click this link to see community story on LinkedIn. Uh, if you search on the core, either you can simply search courses by Sharon, or courses by Nilosima, courses by Abhishek. You will see all the courses or all the sessions. We actually name it as a course because people understand it like that. But ideally, most of the part of our platform is like session. They are recorded session, and they are available as a free to watch event. You can go there. You can apply your free certificate. There are different type of courses and the sessions here. One is the which is completely free. You can completely download your participant certificate. If the speaker has some code and source code is to share, anything to share, and if the speaker doesn't want to share it directly, they can put a price on it. And even if there is a price, and if the session is free, there you will be able to watch it once you log in it, or if you have a direct link that has been provided, you will be able to watch. There would be streaming happening up if you would have given a link directly, and if you would simply log in here, and you will be able to see the complete session that is happening here. The window will open up here directly at this point of time. It's currently streaming, or if it's not streaming, it will give you a link to the YouTube channel, a streaming link, or the WebEx link, and then you can directly click on the certificate. It will take you to the certificate place. If you have to do load, if you are working on a paid event, you can simply use and try these things. Thank you. And obviously you can connect with us, you can chat with us directly. we are available most of the time in the India time, 9 a.m. India time to 10 p.m. IST most of the time in different shifts to help you out. And there are multiple Telegram channel other. You can connect to the forums and connect to us directly. Back to Sharon, and thank you for having patience with us. So Sharon, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you. Let's have a go at sharing my screen. Oops. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes, I'm also making live on the streams. Yeah.
Hopefully everybody can see that. Let's just jump back.
Yes.
Okay, I guess now I'm presenting. I can't see everybody else.
Yes. 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 Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We are able
Perfect.
to see. We are able to hear you. Yeah. Great. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, so thank you so much for having me back again, and welcome everybody, whatever time of night or day it is. I think the hardcore of you that are there at 9 p.m. That's not something that I get the UK guys to do, even though we do often have community events at the weekend. So well done. So what I'm going to talk about today, it kind of touches on a little bit of a lot of technologies, but the kind of the wrapper that I'm going to put around it is a learning solution. So we're looking at learning as a team. So I'm going to touch on Microsoft Teams, SharePoint Online, a little bit of Stream, Microsoft Stream, Forms, and Power Automate. So it's kind of a little bit of everything, but what the power of it is showing you how these solutions come together and how Teams has become that really powerful platform for integrating everything together. So that's what we're going to go through today. For those of you who have not met me before, lovely to meet you, and I hope to see you in real life at some point. But for now, this is me. I am Sharon Sumner. I'm a Business Applications MVP. There's a few links on here to my LinkedIn and my blog. Do reach out. I love talking to people. I don't hang out on Facebook. I do have an identity on there, but I don't chat on Facebook at all. So do grab me on LinkedIn or Twitter if you want to engage. I also have a user group. We've got an event coming up at the end of October where we focus just on the Power Platform. It's a Cambridge UK group, but everything's virtual now. We're all global. And yes, I do always say yes to a coffee, bit of an addiction. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to do today, because we've not got a great deal of time and I do tend to talk at speed, but there still is a lot to get over. So what we're going to look at is we're going to look at this demonstration of a simple solution that is touching on all these different technologies. So the plan is that the requirement that came up that inspired me for this one is that users want to be able to make sure that the people in their department are engaging in their training programs. They also want to be able to plan out a learning path for each of their employees to go through. The example we're going to use is a sales team that needs to learn about Dynamics 365 and leads and opportunities and how to progress a sale through the system. But it equally could apply to any department. And because we're looking at the sales department, we then needed to look at how we could take the same structure and apply it to the whole organisation. So that what we were looking for was a bit of, not gamification, but trying to get a bit competitive within the team to make sure that we could see who'd done the most learning within the team, but then to be able to take that information up to the entire organisation as well. So if we look at the solution goals then, so we wanted training material for the company wide, so making sure that everybody's looked at all of the policies, making sure they've answered all the questionnaires about understanding how to claim expenses, etc. within an organisation, that mandatory training stuff that you go through. We also then wanted to create team-specific training and to have that as a repeatable model. We wanted to be able to assess users during the training. Now, this is really important because introducing the points at which you can test knowledge is now a fantastic feature that I'm going to show you today. So that's in there as well. And a scoring system to make it competitive. So you get a score if you get those answers right. And again, I'll go through a vanilla solution. So anybody that's ever seen me speak before, I tend to put together a very vanilla solution for you that you can replicate easily yourself, but it shows you the power of how you could extend it. So the scoring system I'm going to use is just that they completed. You can have some fantastic logic under there, testing the right answer, the wrong answer, and taking different directions based on those answers. We're then going to have a look at the leaderboard functionality using Power BI. And we then want this no-code Microsoft Teams solution mentality as well. So that's kind of going to be the basis of it all. So let's get stuck in. As usual, I've pre-recorded me doing the actions in a video. I'm going to talk you through it. I'll pass this deck onto the guys at MultiCloud for you, and you'll be able to download this and be able to get access to it so you can rerun it through at your own speed. I am often told that I go through these things too fast. So the first things you need to do to set up is we need to have a learning path. So we need to create the team, create some SharePoint lists, and then create our channel in the video tool, which is Microsoft Stream, and add some training material. So let's go through those steps. So you can see I've already created a team called the sales team, and in the general tab, jumping to files so that I can go to SharePoint. Importantly, you need to go to the root of the site by clicking the logo here to be able to get to have the new list on the menu item. So we're going to create a new list. So let's just call that a learning path. And the idea here is that you've got several courses to go through to qualify to have completed the learning path. So if we have a look at putting in some modules in our learning path, and we're going to have some new columns here to be able to locate that and show the details on the screen. So we're going to look at giving each module a name. We're also then going to put in a score, which will be a numeric value that we give you once you've passed the exam or the test that we're going to put in there. And more importantly, we need a link off to the video. So this is going to appear in a SharePoint list. I could equally have done this in a Microsoft list embedded within the team, and I may change the solution to use that once we get our SharePoint home pages fully rolled out, and that will look much nicer. Again, what I've done here is a really basic solution. So then we've got the learning path. So the learning path could be, I'm just going to say, we've got a basic sales path, we've got an intermediate sales path, and an advanced sales path. So it could be that when you first start working the sales team, you need to pass the basic sales.
Sharon, I would suggest one thing. If you don't mind, if you can simply put in the Projector mode and just show up the slide, because what's happening that your screen is being broken into part. Looks like so you are in the Projector mode, but actually it's showing up the part of the screen is showing up the slide movement, and then the part of the screen is showing your screen. It's not full screen.
Oh, okay. 1 moment. Yeah, you're quite right. That is not going full screen. I'm not sure if that's individual videos. This one doesn't seem to have that as a symbol.
So what you can do is you can simply drag the left side or right side panel a little, so it will take up more space, maybe, if it's possible.
It's full screen on PowerPoint, okay, but it is showing black down the sides, unfortunately.
Okay, no issues. I think we are able to see it. No issues. We can continue. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Again, you'll get the deck afterwards, so feel free to, zoom in.
We'll connect to that the event page, so people are able to download it. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. Okay, so let's keep going. So we're going to give this. So each learning path needs to have a module. So we're going to give this a module name, and we're going to give it a video link. So what we're linking out to here, this is just a standard Microsoft Stream video link. And what I'm showing here is that we need to put in that alt text to show watch video. Otherwise, we get a very nasty video link tends to come out. So as you can see, we can sort this by learning path. So if we'd have put in a module for intermediate or advanced, we would be able to sort it. Oops. So I'm just going to put a couple in here to demonstrate. Sorry, there's a lot of feedback there. Is that me? Okay, if everybody could make sure they're muted, please. Okay, so carrying on, we're just going to put in another basic sales. Oh, and you can see there that I didn't put in the watch video as the alternate text, so we get a horrible hyperlink, which is not ideal. So ideally, we would go back and change that. What we're going to do next is we're going to jump out to Microsoft Stream, which is where we're going to put the videos. So let's jump in here. And hopefully this is familiar. and we're going to create a channel specifically for this learning path. So this is our Dynamics 365 sales training. So we're creating a channel, which is where the videos are going to live. We're going to call this the sales group. Now, ideally, this would hyperlink back to the Microsoft team and it would give it the same permissions. But because I'd only just created the team, it wasn't able to find it in the lookup. So I had to give specific permissions on this one. So once we have a channel, we can then start to put data into it, which we do. I've got 2 videos. I've just dragged them in. And you can see that it's given it a title based on the name of the field, the name of the file. And I'm just going to put in a little thumbnail so that it's easy to recognize that these are Dynamics videos. I'm going to say language of English. Now, if, as I upload those videos, if I had any speech on that, it would have done the transcript in English for me. I didn't. These are about 2-minute videos that are just showing you through some of the screenshots of Dynamics. So then this needs to upload the video. We can set the options while we're here. We can set the permissions while we're here. So this would now bring those videos in, consume them into Microsoft Stream and give us a link out. So we can, in the details, we can go and grab that link already. I think it's in the options actually, and be able to add that back to our SharePoint list, which I think is the next thing that we go on to do. Oops. So then we need to create an assessment and the scoring list and the Power Automate to bring those two together. So once we've got our learning path set up and our video while it's uploading to Microsoft Stream, we'll nip off and create, that's another one that's the wrong size, we'll nip off and create the form. Okay, so that's me just checking whether the video was ready yet, and it's not. So we're going to go and find Microsoft Forms, and we're just using the forms that you get with the standard license, not the Forms Pro or Customer Experience, whatever it's called these days. So we're just using the standard forms, and we're going to create a new form. Now, with the rest of the solutions, once we've done one solution, you can just copy and paste these. But for the very first one, we do need to set it up fully. So this is a sales training question form. And we're just going to call this leads in D365 because that's what we're doing the quiz on. So then what we do is we add just a few questions, and it doesn't need to be much, but these questions are based on what I would have just seen in the video. So think about the content in your video and ask some questions that are pertinent to that content. So we're saying what fields are required for a new lead? All of them? Only the ones with the star. Okay, so that's a valid question. I think we're going to add option 3. So I'm assuming everybody's had a play with forms, and that really is the best way to work with this technology, is to go and have a play with it. But we could have as many or as few questions in here as we would like. So this is just my way of showing you live how to integrate this by setting it all up at the same time. So then we can add another question, tend to have 2 questions, and we'll just use a text field and just quickly typing second question. So the idea is that we can give these questions a score in the background, but what we'll do is we'll set up Power Automate to work out that score once a form has been submitted. So a couple of repetitive steps to do every single time. So we've done our form. We're now going to share it, and we would need to share it with the same group, but we're going to keep this one open, and we're going to copy this link, and we're going to make sure that it is only 1 response per person. Now, while I set that to show you how to do it, that actually becomes a bit of a problem later on. And I would always say that while you're in debug, while you're setting this up, never tick that box, but we'll find out later on why not. Okay, so we're saying that we want to be able to customize the thank you message. So we want, when they've taken the questionnaire, we want them to continue watching the training video. And then we perhaps want to send email notifications, etc. But again, let's leave this relatively generic. We've got the link to the form, so we now need to jump back to Microsoft Stream and see if our videos have finished uploading. Okay, which they haven't. Let's refresh here. Okay, so what we need to do is to edit the record of where these videos are once, or add the form into those videos once the video is uploaded. So while we're waiting for that, and it's taking a while to jump through those 2-minute videos, we'll nip off and do the Power Automate to take the scores from the forms and to populate it into the SharePoint list, so that we know that somebody has completed the form while watching the video. So we're going to link this back to the form that we just created, which was the sales training form. And we're going to say when a new response is submitted, we're going to take an action to update a record or create a record in a SharePoint list. So we want to be able to create an item in SharePoint, and that's going to say where's the list. Now hang on, I don't think I created the list, so we're going to have to jump back to SharePoint and create a list for those results to be kept in. So back in SharePoint, and again up to the root, we've got the learning path, but we didn't have a list for the results. So we're now going to create a new SharePoint list to put these results into. So we'll call this training scores. And we'll add some custom columns in here just to store the module that we achieved and what the score was that we got from that module. So the module itself will be a text field, and the score will also be a number, but the learning path we also need, and that will also be a text field. So here's the score. Okay, so now Power Automate needs to update these for us. One thing that we can do is we can put in the person field so that we know who this is, so that we can sort by this. You could have just put that in text in the title, but we like to have a real person that we can click on, because then we can link that back to their identity. And if somebody sees that somebody's taken all of the course material, they might want to reach out to them. So jumping back to Flow then, we're going to link up to our list. So in the sales team, the training scores list, and we're going to update it with the information that we just gathered. So the title, actually, we don't actually need, I didn't grab the items from the list. We need to go back and add in an action. So up here, after we've got the items, we then, when a new response is submitted, we need to actually get that response. So back into Microsoft Forms, we need to get the response details. Otherwise, we have no individual items to pop into this create item form. So we're just going to say, use the ID of the trigger and get those items. And now you can see that we've got the information from the form that was completed. So in the title, I think we're just going to put that as a sales training. So let's put basic in here. And then, because we're not particularly using that title field, the module is going to be, again, we know these, we can hard code these, because we're going to need a flow for every form that's created anyway. So we can easily just replicate this basic sales training into the learning path. The score is going to come from, at the moment, we're just going to hard code it. We're just going to say, if you complete this form, you're going to get a score of 50.
Sharon, this is really interesting. I would again insist, if you're able to find out the way to keep it full screen, because the things are very small. Either you can zoom it a little. Yes, it's great. Yeah, it happened. Yes, it's little. No. Sorry, it's all. It's again very small now. It was better before. It was better before.
Hang on. Let me.
Or you can simply zoom it. Like you can simply zoom the browser and zoom it to a little higher side. It will work. So simply zoom the browser where you are working with.
I've got it in place.
Zoom to 200% or something.
Okay.
Yes. Looking
Is that
better.
better?
Yes, it's better. A little better.
Which one am I on? Okay, let's play it in here. So.
Yeah. Cool.
Just got to find where I was on the video. One sec.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's jump forward a little bit more. We created the item. Okay, so we're filling this in to be able to populate the SharePoint list. Let's jump forward. So we're going to give it a score of 50, which we're going to give for anybody that completes. and we can see the form here if we want to go and have a look at it. So we can start to think about how that's going to look. We're going to copy this link again, and we're going to jump back to Stream. And oh no, we're just checking this in a browser to make sure that the form itself works. Now this, remember I said that you could only do one answer per person. This is going to bite me in the bum. So I'm just checking that everything works and that I get the please continue to the video now response. So coming back to the training scores, here's my score of 50 because I took it, but the learner didn't come through. How? Why that is? So we'll jump back in here and we'll realise that, hang on a second, I didn't fill this in. And that actually my learner claims needed my email address, which I completely forgot to put in. So we're going to test the flow by rerunning it. So we're just going to run the previous flow version that succeeded, and then that should create our item. And we can now see that we have our user beautifully in the list itself. So that's working. We're saving the results of the form. Like I say, we could have done some fancy logic. We could have looked at each of the responses. We could have decided that, you know, if you did it in under 2 seconds, you get a better score. We can do all kinds of fancy stuff, but for now we're just going to leave that as you've completed the form and we've asked you to carry on with the training. Okay, let's jump in here. So then you can't see the rest of the slide now. So in this one we are going to create the learning page, and we're going to add it to Microsoft Teams. So let's show you this one. So what we're doing is, because each Microsoft team has a SharePoint site associated with it, we're adding a page to that SharePoint site to then bring in as a tab within the team. Don't forget, with everything we're doing in Microsoft Teams, the idea is to make a seamless experience for the end user so that they're unaware there's any technology involved at all. So we're just doing a basic SharePoint page, and as always, I'm showing you everything that you need to do. And we're going to bring in a couple of lists. So we're going to bring in the training scores so I can see what I've done. But we're also going to bring in the learning paths so that I can link out to the learning that I need to do. So let's also bring the learning path, which arguably should be at the top, and we're going to publish that. Now, later we're going to add a graph onto here to show how we're doing. But for now, this gives us the page to be able to put into Microsoft Teams. So we're just going to copy a link to that page. We're going to jump back to Microsoft Teams and add that as a tab. So in here, we're going to go to the SharePoint tab. And we're going to add in a page. Now, the fun thing that happened here for me is that while the page appears to be here, it wouldn't let me click on it. And I found that that's because it hasn't initialized, it hasn't been searched. Therefore, we can't pick the page just yet. So what we do is we can back out of this, or we can add in a page from the, this is me just going and checking that the page does in fact exist, which it does, and then just republishing, making sure the page was published. We jump back in, and instead of adding in as a URL, which we could also do, what we're going to do is we're going to click that link at the top that says add the page from any SharePoint site, this one, and we're going to put in the URL. So this is a SharePoint context window rather than a web browser window. So it gives us the lovely surroundings. If we had some nice imagery at the top, that would all be there. And so now when I click on the learning page within the team, I get the context of those learning paths. Now, and that would take me, when I click the watch video link, that would take me directly off to Stream to be able to watch the material. So moving on then, if we then, we need to now add the assessments to
so Sharon, you are on the sales training page, right? On your screen, I am able to see your sales training leads in D365. What fields are required for a new lead, right? That's the page, right?
Oh, which one are we on? This one.
So we are able to see sales training leads in D365. Yeah, that's one. This is what you were talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the okay, just wondering what else you're seeing that I'm not. So the lost my lost my place. Right. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to be able to add the assessment into Stream. So we need to interrupt the video and take an assessment. So that's what we're going to do with this video section here. And hopefully you can see this video playing. Okay. So now we're in, now we're back in Stream and our videos are published. So they've all uploaded nicely. So when we click the watch video link now, we should go directly to our video. Now what you can see is on the right hand side here, we have this new window which talks about interactivity. So within the interactivity, we're going to add in our form. So we're going to go back to the forms and copy our URL. And then we're going to jump back again. And we're going to pop that in here. And we can give it a form as well, a name as well, just to say that this is the basic sales training form. The next clever thing that you can do now is you can add this to the timeline, and the add to timeline button is looking specifically where you're at the point that you started adding this interactivity. Now, if you click over here to 31 seconds, you'll see that the position in the timeline is changing. So you could have several assessments throughout the course of the video if it was a particularly long one. And we're just going to add it to the end and allow it to execute the basic sales form at the end. So if we just continue, if we pull back and then continue with the few seconds to get to that point, this is the bit, if you remember, I said was going to bite me in the bum. It's going to then jump off to find the form. Here it goes. It's loading the form at the end of the video. And now it's going to tell me that I've already submitted a response. I left this in because this is a common mistake to make when you're developing, to not think through the fact that you're going to need to show it more than once. And this explains why it's been, why it's sitting there spinning for a while. So you've already submitted a response. So I'll just jump back to the form and change that setting so that I can submit multiple responses. And then we would be able to continue. So if we continue onto the video and jump back, I still don't think it's going to let me because it's already showing as viewed on here. But in theory now, I would be able to submit a new response from that form. Okay, so what we've done there is we've integrated the assessment into the actual video itself. So that video content is enabling us to take an assessment at several points of that. And once I've taken that assessment, we would then be able to add a score back to that SharePoint list using the Power Automate that we've already built. So let's test it. Let's take it for a walkthrough. So we're going to click on watch the video. Our video appears. There's a whole 47 seconds. So let's jump to 43. And as it gets to the end, boom, loads of form. And here we are taking this test. Once we've put this in, we hit submit. And as you can see, we're on the transcript on the right-hand side. So the transcript of the video would show up. And we now hit continue and we're back to our video. So the video completes. And if we jump back to our Teams experience or the SharePoint site, we should now be able to see on a refresh that we've got another record giving us another 50 points. Now, again, lots of nice logic can go in there to say that you can't take it twice, etc. But we're showing you kind of how to plumb it all together in this video. So this one's got a sum of 100. You can see how many training scores have happened. You can see you could sort it by the learner if you wanted to and do some grouping. You could do all kinds of fancy stuff here. But we find that it makes more sense to have this kind of leaderboard mentality. So what we've done next is to move on to create that leaderboard. So using Power BI to link into our data. So we go to the learning page and we have just these two lists. So you see I've taken it again already. And what we need now is to add this reporting section in. So we're going to, oh, okay. So jumping ahead of myself. It's because I haven't got the prompt on the right hand side. So what we're doing now is we're looking at how we pull the data also to the root. So we are chunking up. So we now want to be able to not only write the fact that we've done that learning to a local list, but also write it to a summary list at the top. Let me just pause that. So what you can see here is where we got those response details. We're now doing two create item statements. So the first one is that we are creating that inside the sales team. And the second one is we're taking it up to a higher level. So we've now taken it to the general tab on the top level team. So this is an all hands team where we're writing it to another version, another SharePoint list, exactly the same as the score list further down. So we've created another list to store that data into. The idea being that we can now add that sales training as a module and as a score to an overall leaderboard. So this gives us the overall data set. And anybody that's done any Power BI work before, rather than creating a Power BI that looks at each individual channel, what you want to do is always look at the biggest data set and then do subsets of your report rather than having multiple reports. So having created that large data set at the top as well, we're going to open up Power BI and we're going to point directly to the top list. So we're going to look for a SharePoint Online list.
So you are also showing Power BI at this point of, because the screen looks like freezed up and it's only there is a sales training page that is coming, or you're simply talking about, or you like something is missed on at our side when you are presenting. Are you opening PowerPoint or something, and or it's like?
Okay, maybe I'm still sharing the old screen.
Yes. So people are not able to connect with you. That's the problem.
Okay. Share content. I think this one would do it. Okay, does that make more sense? Is that bigger?
Still, it's trying to come up. It's like Sharon Sumner is still it's trying to show up. Is any other person is able to see this him? Gavaskar, anyone else? If you are able to see the screen. Yeah, Tony can't see. So if you can reshare, try to reshare again.
Okay, let's stop sharing. Let's try and share again. This one.
No, it's not coming up. So I think you can disconnect and rejoin. I believe that will work if you can do that.
Hang on a second. Can't actually stop sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just try this one more time.
Sharon, are you there or disconnected and joining? Looks like she's rejoining. Yes, yes. Yeah. So we are able to see you now. Yeah, good. So I think we miss a bit of the part of it. I believe
Okay.
from the place where you were creating the, you were trying to use the Power Automate and bring out the data. From there we start getting like things start messing up. So you can go back.
Okay.
Yeah, in this learning
So
path, the screen was there right before that. If you go back, there was like you bought the data from SharePoint list and you were trying to populate the learning path, and then you had to do with the Power Automate. You were trying to connect with the Power Automate, and then so if you can start from there, I think
okay, let's
people will find better to connect. So
okay. So this is the one where the video has finished uploading,
yeah,
and we
uh,
are.
if you can go a little back where it was a little backer. No, we're not able to see any of these things. So
Let's have a look.
guys, if
As
you
far as putting the
remember,
page
yeah,
to Teams,
yeah.
this was the generating of the SharePoint page. Did we see that or not?
Guys were able to see. We don't think so. It got, I think, got still up somewhere. So you can
Okay.
quickly guide us because we're anyway we listen. So you can quickly guide us. Yeah, from here you can start learning path. Yes.
Okay. So we jumped in. The video wasn't quite ready yet, so we were going to go off and do the form and create the Power App as well. So did you see me create the form?
Partly, like where it was there. I think it got stuck at the form only.
Okay, let's jump through a little bit. Okay, so here we are with the Power Automate. So I remember, I think it was when I was just bringing the details in. So what we're doing here is we're creating that item in the SharePoint list. And it was at this point that I realized I hadn't bought the, I hadn't actually expanded on the item that we had created. Oh no, I hadn't created the list. Here we go. Right. So this is creating the list to store the score. So we're just going to call this the scoring list. And add in those couple of fields so that we know that it is, I'll just jump forward. So once we've added those fields, we can then come into here and populate the data into that SharePoint item. So we're going to pick the correct training scores list. And then we need to be able to fill in these details. And I need to expand from the trigger the list of responses. So we're going to add in an item above, an action, to get the responses from the triggered item. So what we need is to add in an action here between the two to get the responses. So if we search for forms and look for the forms actions, there we are, to get the response details. And we just need to point that to the form itself and the dynamic content from the trigger. So then we're not using title, so we've got nothing here to fill in on there. So we're going to have this flow for each one. So we're just going to call it basic sales training. And here's me filling in those fields a little bit and putting in that hard-coded score. We then went back to the list and you could see that the learner was missing in the SharePoint list. So let's just jump back into there. We take the test. There it is, that's the URL. And we're going to add that here as a test item. So we're just going to answer the questions in the form, just so that we get a record and we've triggered the flow. And we're going to hit submit. So now we should have a record. Our flow should have run and given us a score of 50 back into our SharePoint list. And there it is, but we don't have anything in the learner column. So we forgot to add that. We're going to jump back to the flow and just make sure that we do populate that. So looking here, we have the learner claims box, and we need to be able to put in the email address of the respondent. If we hit save and rerun with a test rather than going and adding another record, we can now see that that will populate. I think I'm the administrator on this tenancy. So if we jump back to the SharePoint list, there I am. Okay. And that's really this part here. So then we jumped into adding that into Teams. And the way that we do that is we create a SharePoint page. We're just going to use a blank page template. and give it a name, and then add in a couple of lists, which I'll just scooch through. So we're just going to add the training scores list, and we're also going to just do exactly the same, type in list for the search, and add in the learning path list. So that gives us those two lists on the page that we can then add into the team for the users to be able to see. So we're going to copy this address of the page, and we're going to jump back to Microsoft Teams and add that in as a tab. And then I had a little bit of toing and froing explaining that it wasn't available to me in Teams when I went into the SharePoint part, even though I published the page. So let's scooch to here. So that's me just checking that the page is published. And then back into Teams. Here we are. To be able to click that button here to add the page or list from a SharePoint site, which allows us to put the URL in there. And that gives us the same fully open SharePoint experience rather than as an iPhone type experience. So now within our team, we have a tab to be able to see all of our learning data, to jump directly into a learning path and to watch a video. But our video still wasn't uploaded at that point. So then in the next video, we were looking at how do we then tie everything together. So having got the videos finally published and uploaded, we then wanted to go and add the form to the video itself. So we're going to click through to the video to load it, and this is coming up correctly now. And we have this interactivity on the right-hand side here that we're going to leverage to bring the form in. So on the interactivity tab, we're going to add the form. We're going to call it, I'm going to go and get the URL of that form. And we're just going to call it our basic sales training form. And then we're going to, and you probably heard me talking about this, add this to the timeline. So you can see that at the timeline at the moment, we're on 47 seconds of 47. If we move the timeline here, you'll see that it updates. So this is to allow you to pick where you want it to appear. We want it right at the end to test the knowledge once we've done the learning. So we're going to add that to the timeline, and now we can see that that's here in the timeline. What I did was I then jumped backwards to be able to play so that it would then trigger the form. But unfortunately, as I mentioned, I've already filled it in once. So what it does is it gives me, just fast forward there, it tries to load the form, but then gives me a lovely error saying that I've already completed it. Here we are. So to be able to change that, we jump back to the form itself and we turn the settings to allow more than one response. Okay. We wouldn't have that in the live solution, but this is just for debugging and doing our testing. And you can see the experience that we would have continued onto the video anyway to be able to then finish the learning and jump back into the team. So let's show you that end-to-end solution. So as an end user, I would click the watch video link. I would watch the whole of the video, but we're going to shoot forward. And as I get to that end point, boom, here comes my form. It's going to test my knowledge. It's going to ask me a couple of questions. I'm going to answer them just with test data and hit submit. So because we've got the form hooked up to the Power Automate, the Power Automate is now writing to the SharePoint list.
Great.
Results. Okay.
This is fantastic. Yeah. So actually we have integrated something similar to it on our system also. Actually, whenever like it will be live in a month, where at the time when you are talking or giving sessions, it will automatically pop up to the individual users dashboard, which is the link that I share. When they log in, they will be able to answer the question, and at the end they will get the certificate. So currently certificate is live, and that's also coming up. But obviously that was a completely coded and custom thing, and here's everything which is integrated. That can be done in a little easy way. So that can be forwarded to our certification platform. You can simply, once the user gives a right answer, our certification platform is completely API driven. Anyone can use it. And when you pass through the API, automatically certificate will get generated and that can be sent to their anywhere. It's a completely blockchain even enabled platform. So that's how things get integrated. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could have done on the end of the flow, we could have added a section that creates a Word document that then pushes, fills in your name as the learner, tells you what you've passed, and then sends it off to you as a PDF. We could have done all of that, and all of that's possible. 0 lines of code. Okay, so then let's show you how to bring that into the master data set that I was talking about. So what we wanted to do is to have a learning page also inside the general team. So we've done a replica of these learning pages up at the top level, but what we need to do is to have a list at the very top level to write a master score into. And as we're saying, if we have one list that we're writing everything into, then we use that for the reporting. So this is just, I'll just skip through adding these fields and show you this, which is the important part. And this is where we got to where I was saying that all we do is we add another branch when we're doing the logic to say, write it into the sales teams list, but also then write it up to the master list as well. Many other ways you can do that a little bit more elegantly than this, but let's just use this for now just to show you how it's done. So we changed that flow to be able to write the duplicate up to the top level so that we have a data set. So then we're going to jump off to Power BI and pull that data set to make the reports. So we're then going to jump into the Power BI dashboard, which would be the desktop tool, to create a report. We're going to get the data and we're going to point to SharePoint Online. So this can be done either by searching or by clicking on I think it's online services, it's available there too. So if you just type SharePoint Online in here, and it will just ask you for where that's going to be. So we want a SharePoint Online list. And again, you have to have the right credentials, you have to have access to the data set to be able to do it. Don't forget, I'm looking at the top level of the site, so I need to be an owner right at the top level to be able to get access to the data, or contributor. So I'm going to go and nick the list URL. I'm going to take off all of the list portion on the end because this is just asking for the site URL. We're going to use the Microsoft account credentials to be able to connect to that. We should be able to sign in the context of the user that we're currently in. So we'll just give it a second to be able to authenticate. I'm going to have to pick it. So let's just do this one again. Just jump off and grab that password. This is off screen, so you just can't see it. I'll come back and paste. There we are. And we get to sign in. Once it's authenticated and we do the connect, it's then going to jump off and find out what's in that data. Oh, okay. Yep. No, that's me not taking enough quite off the URL to bring that data in. Let's try that one more time. Oh, there we go. So just a retry on that one. So we're going to pick up the learning scores from the top level. It's going to go and evaluate the query. So it's grabbing all of the data. And all it will do is bring in the SharePoint list as a data set that you can use. From this point, we can transform it. So from this point, we can say exactly what it is that we want to do with that data. So if we start putting in some very simple charts, we can then start looking at adding up the scores by person, by track, etc. Let's jump into this one. So then I filled in some more data on those learning scores in the organization-wide list, just to give us a couple of different users. And I've created a very simple chart here just to make sure that those users are coming through. Now, interestingly, I've had to create a new column called the name column because the learner is based on actually understanding who, if you remember, we put the email address in there and the system was doing that lookup for us. While in the process of that, the report doesn't come out, the column doesn't come out nicely for the report. So we put in a new column and we went into the flow and just added in the learner's details, which we got the report name column, and we put in administrator into there so that it looks it up and puts in the name directly from the flow itself. So we just went back and retrofitted that to be able to make the report data much nicer. So now we've got the report data working, we can actually start to add some nice stuff on the report. So let's just put report name in there, and there we have it. Perfect. So now we've got the data. Like I say, we can start to make that as pretty as we want to with all the various different graphs that are available to us. And we're not going to do anything massively complex to that as a data set, other than I think one of them here is, we can look at a bar chart. We can pop the score in there. So that's our scores. We can see information coming through there. And then we can publish that report, nip over to the SharePoint page, which we need to edit. So we'll pop that out into the browser to edit the page, and we should be able to add in the custom report once we've published it. So once we've done a publish, it'll ask us where we want to publish it to. So we're going to publish it to the sales team's workbook, or just to my workspace, I think, maybe on this one, because we've all got access to it. But you would publish it to the sales team or to the organization-wide workbook so that everybody's got access to be able to execute. So we do need to make sure the permissions are right for being able to get access to the report itself. So then if we on editing the page, we should be able to add in the standard Power BI web part. If we search for Power BI, and it's got a space, there we go. And that then should be able to, when we click add report, we can grab it from the Power BI report link, which if we were to, easiest way I do is I republish it, and then once it's published, it gives you a nice hyperlink to it, which tells you where to go and get it. So we'll just replace, and we're just after this hyperlink that it's going to give us here. Here we go. So if we open that learning report in Power BI, then that just takes you to the web browser version, and it's this report here that we want to get. So we're just going to copy the URL and tag back here and pop that URL in. And we're going to say we want the whole thing, and there it is. So that's the very first version of the report that we created. We perhaps want something a little nicer than that. We probably want something a little nicer that I'm going to come up with in a minute for you as well. But that allows us to bring through the data, and we should be able to see that data increasing live as we take some of those exams. But out of the box, Power BI isn't a live connection to that data. So what we need to do is on the Power Automate, we need to jump back and add in an action to be able to refresh the data once a new entry has been put in. So if we have a look here, we can see that I just changed it to a slightly different chart. I've added in loads more data so that the administrator is way out in the lead now. So we have the experience of, we click through and watch the video, we get to the end of the video, we can see that I've already viewed this one, but if I was to jump to the end there, we should be able to do the test. And when we do that, we hit submit. The Power Automate is running in the background, doing exactly what we wanted to do. If we continue to the video and finish that, we can add some interactivity to jump out of that and come back again. You can see this is what I'm saying on the Power Automate. So what we've done, sorry, I'm in the wrong one. Let me just jump into that one. And that failed. Okay. Oh, that's me putting the incorrect GUID on the data set. So let's just make sure we've picked that data set correctly. So refresh a data set is a lovely little Power Automate action that you can do so that we can pick that individual data set and update it every time we add an item. That means that every time I look at that page, by the time I've come back to it, or if I hit refresh, my score appears. So that's really nice and dynamic live content coming through there. I just wanted to show you that because it's a relatively new addition to Power Automate. So while you can't see it, because all that's going to happen is my books are going to get fatter, the score will have gone up, I think, to 450 from 400 on that particular report. So then adding a little bit more content. So then we want to repeat the process. So now we want to be able to upload a new video and have exactly the same thing going on. So we want to now do the opportunities rather than the leads training piece. So if we jump in, here are the parts that we need to replicate. So firstly, we need to have had a learning path entry for the new part, for the new piece that we want to do. So let's say we want to now train on contacts. So we're going to go and create a learning path entry. We're going to give it the same score. We don't know the video link yet because we haven't updated it, but we're going to pick the learning path as basic sales again, and we're going to hit save. So we've got our first entry. We then need to jump back into stream. Oh, session's expired. And we need to go to the channel. So if we go to my content and the channel, we should see our D365 training channel. Jump in here, drag in a new video, which is now our contacts video, fill in the fields again, add in a nice little thumbnail. And then we are grabbing that link from the share menu. We're going to jump back here and add it into the video link and say watch video without a capital A. And so now we have our entry in place. We click on watch video. Hopefully it's uploaded quickly because it was a very short video. But now we need to jump into forms and prep up our form to take the test. So we're going to copy the basic sales training form. We're going to call this basic sales training D365 contacts. And then we would want to change this title to just be contacts. We would want to change the questions. So let's just change this one, for instance, so that you know that it is contacts. And we're going to hit share on here so that we get the, preview will do it, so that we get the hyperlink. Here we go, copying the hyperlink from here. So now we need to add that into the stream video, and also, this one's timed out as well, and also create a new flow for doing that calculation and updating the list spaces as well. So if we go to My Flows, we can also then replicate the flow that we've done for opportunity. So we're going to save as, or save a copy. We're going to call this one contacts. We're going to hit save. And now we just have to make some slight changes in this flow to hook it up to the right form. So once we have finished the copy, we can then, we probably should have not called it copy, never mind. And by default, they're turned off, by the way, just point of note. So we're now going to link to the contacts form. We are going to get the list of response as per before. We're still going to, this is how we got the details for the email address. We use the get user profile. And we are going to just change some of the wording in the entry that we put in both the local list and the master list, which I don't think needs any changes. The data set is exactly the same. So we're going to hit save, and we're going to jump out of this one. We're going to turn it on because we need to have that live. And then we're going to jump to the video, and we'll just need to close that so that we can see that it's finished publishing. Let's hit a refresh on this page, and that should have completed. 30%, it's getting there. For a small video, that's taking a moment. While we're at it, let's just go back and check that we've got the link for the form to be able to add this in. 42%, getting there. 48, I might just zoom that on a little, so we're getting short on time. Okay, and now it's processing, so it has to get to 100% again, and here we are. So it does need a couple more minutes. We hit refresh, and here it is live. So this is our new video, and this one is an entire 1 minute 48 seconds. So we're going to paste in our form link. We're going to call it contacts, and then we're going to add to the timeline. We're going to put it right at the end again. Here we go, so that we can see that that's definitely going to trigger. So now we've got a brand new item in the module. So we have a module to be able to click on. We have the form ready to ask the questions, and we have the Power Automate to be able to count and give us credit for doing that. So unfortunately that needs a refresh. Let's just refresh that. There we are. I forgot to update.
I think a couple of questions. Tony is asking, SharePoint is free or paid? So obviously it's paid, but it's like in a easy monthly installment, right? So SharePoint Online, you go, and then it comes with the Office 365 suite, and most of the things are at the fairly easy price. Like they charge you $3, $4, $5 based on the how much you need and how much you work with. But obviously Sharon would comment more on that at the end.
So I think in terms of the licensing for this, the only add-on license you would need for this solution, because Stream comes out of the box, SharePoint is there out of the box, the forms also there out of the box, Power Automate to link to SharePoint also the out of the box license. The only add-on here is the Power BI. So you would need to have a Power BI Pro to be able to do the report that we've done in there.
Yeah, and that's also have a free shareable link also that you can use. So yeah.
Okay, so now we have the third learning path, and we just went off and did a test, and the training scores are turning up in the bottom. So we should be able to see that we have a new one for contacts, which I don't think happened. So, oh, I think that's just delayed. There it is. And we have a failure, which means that, and this is just to point out that you do need to go into the flow each time and do a run and just make sure that everything is working as you'd want it to. That just needs a retry because there's no reason. Oh, it may be that we've not pulled in. That's it. We needed to pull the email in again to make sure that it's from the get response and not from the old one. So we're just going to rerun this, but always check, always run your flows through one time just to make sure it's doing exactly what you want it to do. Got another failure. What's going wrong there? Okay, right. So this was just showing you that my user profile agent was in fact not behaving. And if we edit that, it's because this one here, I didn't have the list of response coming through correctly. So all I had to do was go and wire that back up again. So it was an additional step for being able to get each one of those new items with the copy and paste hooked up correctly. So it's always worth going and repicking each of those variables as they've come through the process. And that really is it. And I realise we've gone over time, and I do apologise. But you know, the whole solution there, as you can see, many moving parts. But when you bring them together, it absolutely does give you, much more of a conjoined experience, and we now have a team working solution where those people that are taking part in the process are just completely unaware of the technology under the hood. But the technologists, with a little bit of planning and a little bit of architecture gone into it, didn't have to write a line of code either. So very low code, no code even solution.
Yeah, and I would like to add that this is fantastic. If you see, many of the technologies are here with a long experience, what I see from the list of the people who have joined, and you'll be able to find out that in the past you would have needed multiple tools and system. Even Power BI is so huge and so much that has made things so much easier. Our whole complete set of business unit is based on Power BI, as I remember. It's a big area of work that we do, and what we see is that our first thing to client is first note to client is that, hey boss, I think few years back if you needed a report, executive report, you had to spend around 3 months, 4 months, 5 months to bring data and then build reports on it. Now it's like a easy busy game. And similarly, if you have to automate it, there are a lot of AutoSys tools, multiple tools where we had to do a lot of other kind of activity with SSIS packages or anything. Even if you don't know programming, you don't know the basic workflow tools to set up, then obviously you would play with, if you are a data guy, you will play with some of the tool like SSIS or packaging thing to handle the workflow and do some scripting. And now you see flow, it's beautiful. You can easily manage things, and it's very easy. And then interactivity is another thing. The form is another thing. Obviously, Google started with something and started moving into this area, but the way Microsoft had moved fast is so pretty amazing. You can't guess even how much volume of traffic that the new Office 365 platform generate. I think Sharon would be able to comment. And it's so easy that my 12-year-old daughter is one of the youngest trainer on Microsoft Power Platform. I'll try to share her video also. And she goes into developer conferences and everything, and she talks about Power Platform a lot. So you can understand it's very easy to automate and start with, and that's the power of low code and no code. Yeah,
I think it's this as when we used to be able to, when we used to have to rely on code, though. As you can see, it's all in the design. If you can design how you want it to work, then it's really easy to put it together. It's that thinking through what the system should be able to do. So I think that is still where the skill set is, to be able to imagine something. Otherwise, you've got a solution looking for a problem. So as long as you've got something you actually want to automate, the tools are all there for you.
Yeah. And adding to that, I think we have a certificate here again, and many people are waiting for it. So yeah, let me share my screen again, and then we'll go on the question side where you can ask Sharon questions. So Sharon, I'm sharing my screen, and let people know how they can claim the certificate. Shall I do that?
Yeah, I don't know how to. Oh, stop sharing. I've got it.
Yeah. So yeah. So I will simply go into fifthir.com, and now it's very easy to find out. You don't need to go into the links and other. If the Dyna event page is coming up, the older page, if it is cached on your browser, no issues. Go directly there, or simply search for Sharon. Click hit. You see two sessions coming up. This is the new one which is streaming now. Build using SharePoint Power Automate. You just have to click this button, no enroll, just click this. You go here, hit this button, one free certificate to download. Everything will automatically be handled. You don't have to enroll it for the free courses. You go here, you put your email, then move next.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the course.
I think it's advertising for another course because the session has already gone beyond time, and then you have to put the secret code here. So the secret code is SP. If you can write down, it's all caps. SPA, SharePoint, Sharon, and then Power Automate. So it's very easy. SPA. S for share, P for point, then Sharon, S, PA, SharePoint Sharon, Power Automate. So SPA. So this is the code. Let me type in here also on the chat window. Just give me a moment. I don't know where did the chat window end. Yeah, here it is. So it's no SPA. Okay. So then let's go back to Sharon again, and you guys can ask question to her. Sharon, you can share your screen. I think your video.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Any question, guys? You can ask.
I don't know if there's a chat window. I can't quite see one.
So, any other question, guys? Or we can drop up. I know it's a little late because there was a little glitch in the middle. So, any question, guys? I would encourage everyone to ask question to Sharon. Or obviously there is a little late in India. Here, people who are joining from India, it's almost 10:20 now in the night, in the evening.
Oh, bedtime.
so and that's Sunday. So
dedicated people, love you.
Yeah. But anyway, what we'll do is like we'll add up all the content given by Sharon on the platform itself. If you're able to see at the top of the platform, there are links. There are different buttons which are there where source code and things can be attached. And if she has some extra questions or to answer, or if she has the link directly of this tool that she has made, that can also be connected and attached there.
Yep, I'll get that to you tomorrow.
Yeah. So thank you, Sharon. That's really a nice session today, and a lot of learning, and easy thing to start with a new learning platform. Yep. Thanks everyone for joining. And those who could not join, those who are on the stream, if they have an issue, they can directly connect to our Telegram channel already there on the website, or any of our channels which are there, and they can ask questions directly. I will try passing it to Sharon, and then obviously she has her email which is already displayed. That is also there on her speaker page, part of things, Twitter and other. We're trying to update her speaker page with all those other details, so it will be easy for you guys to connect there also. Thanks everyone.
Just search for SharePoint Sharon and you'll find me.
Yeah. It's very easy. SharePoint Sharon and you'll find
it. All right, lovely to speak to you all. Thank you so much for attending, and hope to speak to you again soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.